Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the second, actually 23rd episode, to be honest, with REHI podcast. And today we have a very special guest because here is Kristo Vaga, an Estonian parliament member, government member actually, and one of the youngest. You're 27 years old. Welcome to the podcast.
Nice to be here. Nice to chat with you.
And I did the last episode with Ragnar, right? And after he left, he didn't leave me any choice. You were supposed to be the next guest of the podcast. And he said, you have to talk to him because he's going to ride a bike to Kyiv from Tallinn. What the hell? Are you really going to ride a bike from Tallinn to Kyiv?
Of course. Why the fuck not? It's a good idea, I think. We've talked with Ragnar before. What more can I do to get some focus on Ukraine? And I think I was a professional cyclist before I came into politics. And so cycling is a thing that I love, that I can do. And I think the story behind that I'm riding from Tallinn to Kyiv, it's approximately 1,700 kilometers.
Oh.
The story is behind that for Estonians and for a lot of European capitals, actually the war is still ongoing, just a bike ride away. And
that's the slogan of
the slogan.
Yeah.
And we have to do anything we can so that the war won't be a walk away from our homes. So that's my idea, of course. So with this campaign, I'm trying to raise funds for the 69th Sniffing Brigade to get some more drones and cars for the Ukrainian army that they very much need.
I saw your page. It was 50,000. So what do you aim to buy with that? Trucks or drones? Or
2 trucks with night vision capabilities, and of course then 35 FPV drones that can be used for
Alpha Group?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna shoot weapons with them very soon.
Yes, super. Very
fun
nice.
guys.
All of the Ukrainian army personnel that I have met in these last 3 years, super fun guys, super positive.
So strange though. They come to take the cars and trucks, and they come from a battle zone, but they're so happy to get away from the front for a moment, so they're like shining.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I was there. First time I was in Ukraine after the full invasion. I think I was the second European Union defense delegation there. I was there at the start of April in 2022. So everything was very fresh in Kyiv and in the nearby towns, and still the army personnel were so super optimistic that they kicked back the orcs from Kyiv, and it just gave me so much boost to my what should I do now in the next years. And I know that the only thing that I should do is help Ukraine as much as possible.
When were you elected to the parliament?
In March 2023, so just approximately a year ago.
A year ago. So at the time, in April, you were part of some delegation, or?
That was in 2022 when I was working in the Ministry of Defense as advisor to the then Minister of Defense of Estonia. And then we went to Kyiv to just liberate Bucha, met with the then Defense Minister of Ukraine, Mr. Reznikov, and got to be in the shelters and so on in Ukraine.
Was Bucha already cleaned up by then, or?
It was liberated, but not cleaned.
You saw the bodies?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I would like to ask about that, or maybe you can tell me how did you feel when you saw them?
I felt that vomiting, or it was just so surreal that, of course, you see. I had seen all of Europe, all of the world has seen the horrendous things from a camera perspective or from photos and so on. But just to be there, do you imagine that these were just normal people going around doing their stuff a month ago or so? Now they're not there, and for what? They haven't done anything wrong, and just some terrorists came and thought that let's try to bring pain and suffering to everybody, and this sort of major hatred I saw in Irpin. Of course, they told how the how the fighter jets they bombed those residential area buildings, that they deliberately shot the middle part of the building, so with one hit as much as damage could be done. This shows it's all the time their military strategy is not to destroy Ukrainian army. It's only just to bring pain to the Ukrainian people, and this shows that Russians are not human. They are something very much worse.
I've been covering this war almost daily ever since it started, the full-scale invasion, but I still have questions. I mean, I understand, yes, it's Putin's pipe dream and his delusions of taking Ukraine, uniting the Tsardom or the Soviet Union, but you can do it in so many different ways. Even with soft power, you could have. You had Germany in your palm, you have the European Union, and then you did this, and as you said, they choose to destroy the civilians. Why do you think they do it like that? They could do it in any other way, even with soft power.
They could, but I think we saw. Well, I was in the Ministry of Defense before this war started, and I think we got like pretty good intel at the end of 2021 that it's going to be a military invasion, not just that they gathered troops and then they try to just escalate, but nothing happens. We saw a few months before that it's actually going to happen. That's why we gave from the together with the Estonian Defense Forces, we gave Javelins and actually lethal weapons in middle of January in 2022. All hell broke loose in international media and also in Estonian political sphere. What are you doing? You're escalating the situation. You shouldn't give lethal aid to Ukraine at this moment. But I think, of course, afterwards that we gave this help actually, in some extent, helped to keep Kyiv alive because they had some lethal aid to push back those tanks that were under Kyiv in the first few days. But coming back, I think. Well, Putin only knows strength and power, and that is actually the reasoning behind that. He likes to also, he knows only strength and power, and he likes to use strength and power. He has done this hybrid offensive very well in the last 20 years. Of course, the biggest one was in 2014, which he actually got away. It was a military offensive from Russian side, but everybody was talking that this was a hybrid action, and this was done by rebel forces in Crimea and so on. That wasn't the case. They did a hybrid one, and now just the logical part of hybrid operation was this military offensive. And of course, he knew from 2014 that all of Europe and especially US didn't act at all. And he was hoping that the same thing would go on when he would go into Ukraine full-on way. Fortunately, this didn't happen.
I remember when Estonia was giving those javelins, and I really welcomed that decision. And then I remember a certain party in Estonia, Estonian Conservative People's Party, who is now also in opposition. They are on the paper for Estonia. They're Estonian nationalists. They stand for Estonian values in their own words, but they're useful idiots for Putin because all far right or right-leaning Estonian or parties in the European Union, at least far right or right-leaning nationalist parties are useful idiots for Putin, and they don't even know that. And I remember they screaming so loudly, we shouldn't give these javelins not only not to escalate, but also that we need them for our own protection. but every weapon in Estonia is only for one reason,
Exactly.
to destroy Russian weaponry that comes over our border. So that was a very good decision, I think.
That was a very good decision, and that's just the case. That was our reasoning behind that. If Estonian Javelin destroys one Russian tank, that is one Russian tank less that can come to the Estonian borders in the near future. And I think this reasoning, I really liked how Speaker Johnson now also, of course, after
very controversial thing to say right now.
He had done everything, he'd done the right thing, but now he said that it's better to send bullets than U.S. Military personnel into Ukraine, and it's a smart thing to do, and it was a smart thing to do in 2022 January for Estonia, and it's still the smartest thing to do for all of the Western allies that care about democracy and freedom.
Yeah, I'm so glad to see that. Speaker Johnson, it's controversial to right now admit that you like what he did, and I'm very glad that he turned around, but there's a silver lining to his 6 months shenanigans in the Congress, which is that European countries one by one have to carry their weight. For example, Denmark yesterday, the ambassador to Ukraine stated that they will be decommissioning their entire F-16 fleet, and 19 of them will be sent to Ukraine and some to Argentina, and they will buy new F-35s. I mean, this is big. This is really big, tens of billions. And this shows me that European Union countries, even small ones like Denmark, are waking up, carrying their weight. Over 2% NATO military expenditure, all of that I welcome. So the silver lining in that United States pulling out a little, I think Europe needed that a little bit.
Definitely, Europe needed that a lot, actually, to get this awakening that you have to do also something, that you can just rely on US and then the NATO umbrella, but also that Europe as a whole needs its own capabilities, and of course the main thing is that we can produce something. We Estonian. Our Minister of Defense and our Prime Minister initiated the 1 million shell initiative. This, of course, didn't reach its goal in the time that we wanted. We wanted 1 million shells to be produced and sent to Ukraine by this March. This didn't happen, but it gave a big push to the European industry that actually now bigger countries are buying more ammunition shells and producing actually military shells. So it was a right push, and this is a fun. Actually, it's not fun. It's very sad. But last year, Estonian military bought around 240 million of artillery shells and etc. in Europe, and we were the largest the country in European Union that procured the largest amount of shells in Europe. Estonia.
They bought the largest amount?
Yeah.
How is this possible? We're so small.
I don't know. 240 million of shells, and you're the largest buyer of shells in European Union.
240 million euros worth of shells for our country.
Yes.
And that puts us at number one?
Yes.
That is sad.
That is very sad. But so that shows how big of a push actually EU needed. And I think now on, of course, now we have the European elections this year. After that, hopefully we will have a European commissioner, not to the European army, but just to really gather all of these big companies that produce military stuff, everything, and just to help from a monetary perspective and also a regulatory perspective to have the same regulation for all of the shells in the European Union, that we can produce a bit cheaper and a bit faster in Europe.
Why do you think there's any merit in the idea to have this? Okay, we have NATO, right? But this is partly led by the United States, but to have unified European army?
I think a unified European army, I think, isn't the way to go. But that's my own perspective, because still we don't want to a second NATO organization that is competing with NATO, but we need an organization that is complementing NATO. So regarding this, European Union that is coordinating with 27 member states, hopefully in the future with a lot more member states, our defense infrastructure, our defense capabilities is a smart way to go. But I think in case of a war against Europe or NATO countries, a unified umbrella that is leading this tactical and strategical forces is NATO, and I think there's no point of putting a second organization to do this, because we see European Union isn't very fast in its decision making at the moment, and I don't. It will become better, but I think in 10 or 15 years, it's still rather on the same scale. And I think in case of a war, I think European Union isn't the best actor in really pushing or doing military leadership in this European Union unified army.
So this is why there is. The NATO doctrine also changed. It's not a reactive doctrine anymore. It's a preemptive, in a way that NATO forces are always present in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and now soon to be Finland also. They're building the new base. So if any Americans or whoever is watching, then it's not that, the Baltics will be taken so fast, Finland will be taken. NATO troops are always in those countries. To take those countries means to kill over a few thousand NATO soldiers from Germany, from England, from United States.
And this has been a very controversial thing that we have discussed in NATO after the start of the full invasion in Ukraine. And this is one example. Before the full invasion, Estonia, all of the Baltic states, we had the air policing. Different rotations of fighter jets come to Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, and they do air policing in our skies. What does this mean? This means policing. So if aggressor comes in with their jet, they go in our sky that they shouldn't come, then this fighter jet, it goes and it polices it. But it doesn't have the protocol to act.
Really?
It didn't have the protocol to act. Yes, it had weapons on it, but it didn't have the protocol to act.
Just to fly next to it, then?
Yes, fly next to it and escort it out of our skies.
Wow.
So this was the thing before the full invasion. Now we have changed this. This is not an air policing mission. This is an air defense mission. So they have a possibility to act even before it has been pretty much before it was when shots have been fired from the other side, then there's a possibility to defend yourself as a jet. But you couldn't act at all. Now this possibility is there, and this has been a big mental change in how NATO troops in all of the eastern flank countries can engage. And this is, again, we don't wait for the aggressor to come in, shoot everybody, and then let's try to take this back. we shoot them before they try to kill our people.
Yes, otherwise we are the reactors and we give them the initiative in every step. It's like the French nuclear doctrine, which I love so much. This is why the Russians are also a little bit panicking when the French are stepping up, because their nuclear doctrine has a preemptive strike in it, which is, I'm not aware if Russians or United States has it, but I know French do, and this makes the French sound so much bigger.
The Russian doctrine is only in Putin's head. I think no other paper really has any other meaning there.
Mm-hmm. And he changes like his mood. So yes. I recently watched some interviews, like a compilation of what he has said. He says a sentence, and in the next day, in another interview, just says a completely opposite sentence. So people get into this schizophrenic state. Yeah. What the hell is going on?
But that's one. there was one dictator in, I think it was in Cambodia, Pol Pot, who did his decisions based on his dreams. So he saw something in her dreams. He woke up and then did something. So I don't know if Putin is doing the same things, but I think he has some nightmares. So and he does some stupid stuff. But hopefully his time is at the end of his term.
Yeah, it's a shame he's so vital. Like, the guy doesn't drink and works out. It's like, damn it, you should drink a little bit.
Yes.
Like, have some fun in life.
Yeah, enjoy life.
Yeah, I mean, of course, this is not the topic to joke about, but when I cover this war also, people, 3 years already, like, people cannot follow. And if you don't follow this war, you are benefiting Putin because he wins in ignorance. Yeah. And to make people follow more is to take away the harshness of it and still give the information. So this is why humor is necessary. Mm-hmm. And I like to laugh about myself. And also when I die in war, I would be finding people laughing about it, making humor about it, because this makes it easier to live in this situation. So this is why I think making fun is okay, because everybody is so serious about it.
Yeah, I think it's the same. And you see where President Zelensky also tries to seldomly also make a little jokes or stuff in anecdotes or stuff about the war. So
I've missed that totally.
Yeah, I think in some longer interviews that he has given the U.S. journalists and so on. You have to have some human part in this, especially when the war has gone on for so long. You can't be only serious in this case.
Yes, and mostly I get these comments from, especially, I don't want to now offend the entire nation, but I get from United States watchers, viewers, that, oh, you shouldn't make fun of this or that. I go to Ukraine and talk to the soldiers who lost a brother or a comrade yesterday, and they come to take the car, and all they do is make jokes. This is a way to survive. And then I get a person from the United States from their soft couch saying, oh, you cannot make fun of this. Ukrainian troop came from a trench and he's laughing his ass off. So
it's the same. I remember I was in January last time in Ukraine, and I had a longer chat with one Canadian volunteer, and he also made fun. Like, he just came from the trenches. Oh, every evening in the trenches, we make fun with the Ukrainian troops. They're like, which part of my body can I lose? And I would be totally fine with that. I was like, what? This, and he was like joking, saying, like, very casually talking this to me. I know I was in awe. What is going on? But you have to keep the morale up somehow. And I think they are, all of them who are on the front line, they are just magnificent people.
I remember before the war 2019, before Zelensky even was elected as president, I remember there was a sketch when Putin was viewing Zelensky as a comic. Zelensky was one of the biggest comics in Ukraine and in the Russian-speaking or Slavic world, let's say. And Zelensky was worldwide known, and Putin actually was in a show watching Zelensky play the piano with his dick. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And Putin was laughing. And I was like, whoa, now these guys are fighting each other. And Zelensky was clean shaven, the old Zelensky. Very funny. I was laughing also. And you look at him now, and it's, okay, I'm glad he's not playing the piano anymore with his, but a little bit humor is definitely necessary,
It is very, very necessary. And I think you just have to be very honest with the whole public in all that you do. And I think Zelensky does that pretty well.
How do you keep yourself, like, I go now to mental health, because this is also a very big part, like humor and everything, now mental health also. You're in parliament, I know the Estonian opposition, we have these guys, I mean, they drive me crazy and I'm not in the parliament. I mean, how do you handle that?
Yeah, they drive me crazy a lot also. But actually for me, cycling and just going out, being a few hours just with me, I never listen to anything when I'm cycling, and this is the time where I'm alone with myself, and this is the time where I lose all my anxiety, and I can think about what have I done, going through motions that what should I do in the future and so on. This is my time, and this is my mental time that I really need all the time. So when I'm not able to do sports, cycling or something else, then I get very sketchy or not sketchy or edgy. So this is, I find stability in doing sports and mostly and cycling.
It's really interesting that you say that you don't listen to anything, because people really enjoy podcasts and music and everything, but in a way, just pure silence is the biggest medicine, because I think even music and podcast is yes, it helps, but it's still in a way running away from yourself.
Exactly.
You can truly only be alone when you're in silence and allow everything to come and go from your mind. So
definitely, it's not silence. You have everything that surrounds you where you are in nature, and this still is very super good meditation in a way. And of course there's the second effect also, where when you go out cycling on the open roads, when you listen to something, then you don't hear, it can be dangerous for yourself if you don't hear a car coming and so on. So that's one aspect in it, but I never when I'm doing sports, I don't like to listen to something. If I go to the gym or something like that, then I do, because I don't like I don't like doing sports inside. I like to do sports outside. So when I'm outside, I just try to be one with everything that's surrounding me.
So zen suddenly.
Yes.
Hit me with the zen wisdom here.
And now I have a good opportunity to do 7 days of Zen when I'm traveling from Tallinn to Kyiv.
1,700 kilometers in 7 days. How many kilometers is that per day?
Approximately 250 kilometers a day.
Is that altogether 1,000 miles? 1,000 miles?
Yeah, 1,000 miles. Pretty much exactly 1,000 miles. Yeah.
I'll just say that again for the viewer. Kristo is going to bike 1,000 miles, 1,700 kilometers with 7 days, Tallinn to Kyiv. And,
please join me.
Of course, I will put the link in the description, because Kristo is actually gathering money. 50,000 is the goal to buy trucks and drones for Ukrainian armed forces. And this, I understand, this will be covered by a lot of media and Ukrainian media, and it will be a huge thing.
Yeah, hopefully. There has been a lot of attention from the international media and also Ukrainian media. I have some events when I arrived to Ukraine also. Estonia, our government is helping one specific region in Ukraine. It's the Zhytomyr Oblast, and I probably have some meetings there together with the community and the local government there to show that we are very based people in Estonia, and we try to do everything that we can to help Ukraine win this war. And this is I do, of course, I support everything that we do with our government to give military support, and I go around the world trying to persuade my colleagues from different capitals, but still I thought that I should do something more myself, like you have done. You have I think been one of the biggest advocates of fundraising from Estonia, and I think you're a true inspiration in this. So I thought let's try to do some kind of a little fundraising event also for Ukraine.
And my viewers, it's the 69th Sniffing Brigade. It's Ragnar's platform. So you go to the link down below. It's all trusted, and you have done it 5 fundraisers already with me. Now let's do it for Kristo also. Go and donate. It's trusted source, and we will go together. We will be together in Kyiv, actually, and I'll post everything. So
super.
you guys will see it all. So go and donate.
Yeah, we should arrive approximately on the same day. In
but it's a crazy plan for you to make. We drive 30 hours, but you drive 7 days. So if anything goes wrong,
but it won't.
You will just pedal the hell out.
Yes, I'll do my best. Yeah.
Red Bull Go.
I tried to. I think actually from this I think was one of my last coffees in the next week or so. I tried to when I was cycling also as a professional. Then I tried to, before important races, I tried to not drink caffeine, so that in the day of the race, then when I use like caffeine gels or something like that, then it gives you a bigger boost. So I will try to keep all of my caffeine intake in the last days when I'm in Ukraine and I have the last pushes home. So I try.
It really makes a difference if you
a little bit. Everything you can do is helps.
250 kilometers a day.
Approximately.
250.
Yeah. It's one day I have 300 kilometers. That is the longest one. And in the days in Ukraine, I put a little bit smaller days because then the fatigue is definitely a little bit bigger. But as I've been to Ukraine so many times in the last years, and all the time I talk with Ukrainian army personnel. Nobody can apprehend that what do they go through every day, and I try to replicate it maybe a little bit, but of course it's not close at all. So when I feel fatigued, I just think about the brave Ukrainian soldiers in the trenches that are keeping Ukraine and my country and all of Europe safe, and then I just pedal away.
I was just like to remind the viewer that maybe you can find another parliament member in your country who would like to ride 1,700 kilometers with a bike. Because Estonia has one of the youngest politicians in the world, right? And like in America, the average age of a Congress member, what is it, like 60s, 50?
Too old.
Yeah, I mean, that people would die.
Yeah, probably.
So this is really, really awesome. Like you have the power. You could sit in the parliament in the comfy seat, but you're going out there actually making a difference. And this is also it's contagious.
Yeah.
You lead by example. So this is really awesome. It leads to people also. But when you get there, I mean, I know I'm tired every time, 24 hours, but I've been driving on the car. You're 7 days. First thing I do usually, I have a beer, but I don't know are you going to have a beer? You arrive?
I might have a beer, but I think if I will have a beer a bit too early in the day, then my day will be very short after that. So I'll see what my plans. I have some meetings also planned in Kyiv, but I definitely. One thing actually, what is very hard in this long event is nutrition, actually, because approximately 10 hours a day on a bike. So approximately it's like 10,000 calories pretty much.
A day?
A day. It might be. It depends on my heart rate and so on. But still, one thing is I have to consume the amount that I spend on the bike. Then I have to consume the amount to get that my body can try to recover, and then I have to eat as much to have some extra for the next day. So this means it's very hard to actually get the nutrition, actually to eat as much as possible in the day. So it's
Can you just
it's
stop
a big
at
challenge.
every McDonald's you see?
Probably, and I have a lot of jelly beans with me or something like that because they have good sugar and a lot of calories in there.
Where are the big gallon-sized American drinks when we need them?
Exactly.
Like the gallon Coca-Cola
Yes.
from the McDonald's this big.
I definitely need those. There are none.
We don't have them in Europe. Help us out.
Please send me.
You just drink like 2,000 calories
Yeah,
per one drink. I didn't even think that would be the issue, you know.
That is actually a big issue, especially when you're all the time when you're riding a bike, it's easy to eat stuff. It's not like running. When you're running, it's very hard especially for me, it's hard to eat something very solid and so on. But you have to eat solid stuff. You can't just go on gels and drinks with sugar in it. So it's a big actually big problem to eat as much as possible in these 7 days. And actually, I've started this week to try to really consume a lot more than I'm actually spending in this week.
I hate when it happens. So many viewers are like, I have
Sorry
the opposite
about that.
problem. Shaming me.
All of the teenage girls and the boys that are trying to keep their...
I get unsubscribed so much right now because
Sorry about that.
So when you arrive, there's a potential that you weigh a lot less than now.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, wow.
Then summer is coming. I need
Oh,
to
yeah.
be in shape.
This is one way to get the summer
Yeah,
body
yeah.
right to Kyiv. But then the beers, you will get it back because we will have party.
Yeah, hopefully.
Much what people maybe don't know is now you go to Ukraine, missiles are flying, but usually at the same time we are having that welcoming party there, drinking that beer when everybody's phone is like, and everybody has Slava Ukraini, and the missiles are coming. So it has to be fun.
Yeah, it's. I remember last summer I was in Ovruch, a little town that Estonia is helping, and then we had also a little gathering there with the local government, and it was air raids were going on. And then just the sky was taking shots there. No, we don't have to go anywhere. And a few of our female delegation members were like, "We should run." This guy, no, it's all good.
So used to it. It happens all the time. I always ask this from Ragnar, but he just doesn't really. He just says, "Oh, it's the central location." But every time we're at the Skyloft Hotel, which is the biggest glass building at the height of the mountain in the central Kyiv, like why we do this? But he likes it.
It's a good hotel.
It's a really good hotel, good prices, and it has the air raid alert, air raid like basement. But usually I'm at the 12th floor or something, and I'm not going to use the stairs, so it's like air raid is going, and I'm in the elevator, listening to elevator music, going down very slowly, thinking about my life, 3 a.m. in the morning, going. So stupid.
It is. Well, you have to take some chats.
I like to live on the edge. Yeah. But have you had any instances with missiles or any have you seen or they fly close to you?
I was in, so the first time actually that I was in Ukraine, as I told, it was start of April in 2022, and it was the same day that Gutierrez was also in Kyiv the first time after the full invasion, and we had the meeting with the Ministry of Defense, and then we should have had the meeting with also with President Zelensky, but then there came in that there could be some missiles soon, so we were full on. Of course, at that moment we had the Ukrainian security was chaperoning us, and also we had Estonian security with us. They escorted us to the train station, and then we got on the train. We put all of the shades on. And it was just still like a half an hour to go out with the train. But then we heard 2 big explosions, and just like a few 500 meters, a kilometer away from us, we saw 2 big smoke pillars going up. And then the train started going a lot earlier to just get away from there. We saw all of the people were going into shelters, and our security also wanted to take us to the shelters, but then we took the decision that let's go with the train. And this was the encounter that I had. That was the closest in there. And I think last summer when I was in Kyiv, it was one time where in broad daylight, where Kinjal rockets were taken down by the air defense. They were, at that moment, they said that they were probably targeting the big monument in center Kyiv. And we heard all of this big bangs, and I saw those white lines in the sky, but I didn't see explosions. So those were the 2 things that I was closest to in the last years.
The explosions in the videos, they are this and that, but in real life, there's so much lower. They just go through all the walls and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, every time I'm there, I hear these explosions. I never get used to them. I'm still like this fear, primal fear. Okay, I'm gonna die. And every time it's new. And next morning I will take that beer, and I'm so
Yes.
glad. Yeah.
But it's good with the Kinchal rockets. It's that if you get hit by it, you don't hear it.
Really?
It's
Supersonic.
Mach 3,
Mach
or
3.
even a bit, I think, faster.
Everybody else will hear it, but
Yeah.
you don't.
You probably don't.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago, the biggest thermal power station in Kyiv. Like every time, I think it was the same one when I'm going to the train station. I see it every time I walk by it, and now I see it in a video on flames. Like I've been next to it multiple times, and now this is in flames. And I thought this would never be in flames because Kyiv is most well protected, and this is the most important power plant in the whole of Ukraine, and it's in flames. So this gives me many ideas of we're going both in a week, basically. What's going to happen now?
Definitely, I think now Russia, after U.S. The decision to give this aid package, of course, this will now just give more impetus to Russia to now, before this military equipment will be in Ukraine. Before that, they definitely want to push the pedal to the metal again for a few weeks. So I think it's like our one diplomat says every time, before dawn, it's the darkest hours are before dawn. So I think May will be very hard for Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, today also I covered this in today's video. I mean, there are trucks loaded with Bradleys ready to go and order over the border, but these are Bradleys. I mean, these missiles, Patriot missiles and everything, this will take time, 4 months, HIMARS missiles. And some people say, yeah, United States is fast. They are fast. 1 month is extremely fast. But still, it gives Russia 4 weeks of terror possibilities for Ukrainian civilians. So,
Definitely.
yeah, Budanov also said it. Next 4 weeks will be...
They will be very, very hard, and these are not game changer weeks, but this definitely very hard on both sides.
But after that, I mean, I'm always very optimistic. I mean, people sometimes even think I'm delusional, but no, I read everything, and it's like optimism rooted in what I see happening, and just studying empires and how autocracies and dictatorships work. And Russia is following a very certain pattern. And in my eyes, in my head, my analysis is that Russia is very slowly going in a certain direction, which is losing this war. And people don't see it that way sometimes, but I do. And this is why I have this optimism, because according to my analysis, they are losing. What do you think about that?
I'm a very pessimistic person usually.
Do we balance?
I'm a bit on the other end. I think it's very hard times for Ukraine, and I've heard now some Western leaders in closed door meetings saying that do you actually think that Ukraine can win this war? And this is very worrying for me. That this understanding is still somewhere in Western allies. It's there. So this means that all the time they try to still find ways. Let's not give military support. Let's only support like reconstruction. But what's the point of reconstruction if still there are infrastructure, people, buildings blown up every day? Still, we have to end this, and then let's think on a major scale about reconstruction. And now on the front line, I think, of course, this U.S. package is a big thing. This will give them a lot of strength for the summer. But you go on from there to actually, one thing is to keep the lines where they are today. But for a Ukrainian army to really push back these Russian positions, this will need a lot more because at the moment they're running very low on ammunition, but also on personnel. And personnel is the thing that no Western ally can give to Ukraine. So I think I'm pessimistic at the moment, and I think we really have to be very, very like, I don't know, thinking out the box to find ways and sanctioning Russia, because they're producing many times more that the whole Europe is producing in ammunition, in tanks, and so on. They're procuring a lot of stuff very fast. They have, in some capabilities, they are in the same level or even better before they were at the start of the full invasion. So, and this is the reason that I'm doing also this ride and so on. This will go on for a year at least, if not more. So I'm more pessimistic, and so I think this pessimism has to actually go into the heads of politicians all around the Western world, that we still, this 61 billion isn't an end game. This is just one good intermediate sprint that we now have won, but we need to win a lot of more sprints and mountain sprints before the finish.
So, do you think European leaders are pessimistic or in denial?
That's a very good question. I think 50-50. Some are pessimistic. I think pessimistic are the eastern flank countries that because we see and we hear the intelligence every day closer, and we have all of our focus is going to Russia and the war there, and this gives us a little bit of pessimism. And I think leaders that are more farther away from us and the war are just in denial that, well, this is just another conflict and so on. And this is still, in some people's minds, this is the reasoning behind that. And this is very worrying for myself.
Yeah, like you said, just another conflict, as in this is the same world order, but another conflict. No, but this is the end of this world order. If this conflict is won by Russia, it will be the end of the American set conflict after American set world rules based order.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of people don't, I think, acknowledge how much it changes their personal lives. All of the values they think human rights were accepted in the Western world in majority in that system. This will all be gone.
Yes, and I'm very worried. Like, what would happen with the European Union and NATO after a probable Ukraine loss, a major loss on the military scale? What would happen with these organizations? I'm not very very sure, and I see now a lot of political leaders all around the world are putting their eggs in the basket of the peace conference in Switzerland this summer. They are hoping, and maybe we'll have some end game to this war, but this is definitely not the case. It's good that we have this possibility to gather all around with US, European leaders, China, and we don't have Russia around the table to discuss this.
That is the main point for the first meeting. Yeah,
exactly. But I am still a bit pessimistic to see that how this will help in the short term end this war in the favor of Ukraine. Because we of course know the Russian positions on what terms do they want to end the war, and this isn't the terms that will benefit any Ukrainian in the short term nor the long term.
Yeah, people think it's Russia and Ukrainian war. It's a local war that Americans shouldn't funnel their money to whatever they say. It's a Russian propaganda point. They don't understand that this is Russian, Chinese, and Iran way of changing the world order, current world order, which every person in America or Germany or Sweden is benefiting by getting loans from the bank, by having their children. They have rights, they have defense from the court, they have laws. These laws are all based on the principles of this world order, and people don't understand.
What is the world order? But of course, one thing that I think Americans always understand, and that is the economical perspective or aspect to wars. And it's more than 40 United States states that have their main export to Europe. So actually, still, Ukrainian loss will affect a lot the European Union and our single market and everything that we have here. And this will affect the world economy very, very gravely. And we have already pretty much built a wall between us and the Russian economy. Us, I mean the Western world. So this is a thing that we have to now switch off them completely. This is an easy thing to do, but it wouldn't be an easy thing to do if the European Union economy would collapse. This will affect a lot of U.S. Taxpayers on a larger scale, especially when they are trying to also shift a little bit their focus from the Asian markets to Europe at this point. So, just the things that can happen after Ukraine could lose this war is I can't even imagine.
I see a lot of arguments coming from the US people who maybe want to elect Trump is that yes, we need to focus on internal aspects, but United States economic stability is, United States economy and inflation, they're doing good. They're doing very good because they have such a trustworthy partner as a stable European economic zone.
Yes.
Now this, like you said, it would crumble. It wouldn't exist in this form anymore after the loss. And people in the United States don't understand that they don't exist in a vacuum.
Yes.
Their country is stable and strong only, and they can only focus these billions to the southern wall if they can get them from the exports to Europe. And it's so connected.
It is so connected, and they have to really think then if they lose the European Union or our economy, where they will switch then. They have to switch to countries that don't have the freedom of speech, the freedom of market, and this will make a lot harder to do economic cooperation there. So it's, I think, especially in these times, economical partnership has to be taken through the aspect of values also. Which values does this market represent? Does this values go against you, or do they favor your value-based world? So I think this is the case why of course, also from an economical perspective, U.S. should and has to help Ukraine and also European Union in this case.
So the biggest opposition there is of course the Trump voters who would like to focus, let's call it what they say, internal problems. But where do they get this information? Do you think it's part of Russian information campaign in the US, or?
A little bit, definitely. We see a lot of a big part of the Russian propaganda is this very soft propaganda that is directly pushed to these politicians all across the world, not only in America, in all of our member states, in Estonia and so on. They directly push this propaganda to them so that they can then stir it up in their political way. Definitely a little bit that, but I think in some cases just opportunistic people who see that there is in the public there is a group of people that are against helping Ukraine, and they just see a political opportunity to be the spokesperson for this group of people. So I think it's this and that. So there are people who are useful idiots and there are just idiots.
Yeah. All of these topics will get me so many unsubscribes, I know, but in this case I don't care and I cannot afford to care because what's the point of this if Russia wins? So yeah, MAGA voters free to leave. That's fine, I'm fine with that.
Or just change your perspective of the world.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also this useful idiots, we have these parties are on the rise in Europe also. We have AfD in Germany, we have the Finnish party of
Perussuomalaisen. But they're more moderate.
More moderate, of course. We have Estonian Conservative People's Party. We have also them in Poland, and all of that is, I mean, they're of course all of these parties are focusing on their nation and the interest of their people. But they don't understand that focusing on that benefits also Putin because this weakens the connectivity to European Union and the United States and all of that. It's more isolationist. An isolated victim is easy to attack, right?
And it's a case that I don't understand how some politicians think that in this world where we live at in 2024, everything is so close to us and the information spreads so close. All of our markets are so intertwined between themselves. Many thousand miles are being covered in a few hours in these technologies. And you can't build an isolative community anymore. You can't only do internal politics or internal policies. Everything you do internally, if you're small or big, everything is affected by the by everything that is surrounding you. You can't live in a box. You can't live in a shelter. You have to have normal relations with your neighbors, and you have to take into effect when doing policies and politics what is going around in your near future and in your neighborhood, and also what is going on a global scale. Estonia is super small, 1.3 million. There are hundreds of, if not more, towns in America that are bigger than Estonia in population size, but still, we have to also think what is going on a global scale and do our decisions in regarding these changes there.
I do agree. Yes, definitely. And I'm glad Estonia elected the Reform Party in the last elections. Reform Party, as the name suggests, is innovative, future-looking party, and I also voted for that party. So I'm glad we are moving in that direction, definitely. But we also have these forces which are trying to pull us back into the isolationist politics again. Yeah. And right now, thankfully, also in the capital Tallinn, for example, if the viewer doesn't know, then over 30 years, for the first time 2 or 3 weeks ago, the power changed.
Yes.
Yeah. First time in 3 decades.
Yeah, and this is a good. I think in democracies it's normal for power to change to one side and the other side. And I'm very glad that we have coalition governments in Estonia. This means nobody can do everything that they want. Of course, this is from a perspective of a voter, and this always gives you a lot of disappointment because you don't get everything that you want because there are coalition governments. But I think this shows the state of democracy that we have, and we see if you go to the east, to our nice neighbor, they don't have democracy there. They don't even understand what this is. And this is a thing that has to be changed also there, that they, in the future, someday, hopefully, will have a democracy. Before that, if Putin just dies and somebody other from the system has been brought up from the system and is the new Putin and everything else stays the same, then even if in the first interview he or she will be probably, and the leader of Russia will be maybe a bit moderate, you know that in time, when time goes, if time goes on, they will just become a dictator, just like Putin did. Because when Putin was elected, he was standing out from the Western world. Oh, this nice Democrat is now coming to save Russia and bring democracy there. And what has happened after 30 years? He is the biggest tyrant, biggest dictator in the world.
I remember there was even on the table for a few years that Russia, well, Putin was contemplating and trying to join NATO and the European Union. Of course, no way. But he was on that level. He was on that side. So yeah, it's not only Putin, but it was the system which he's in, the economic and political sphere. He's in the people. You can't change all of these people.
This was crazy. We NATO had this really not agreement, but they had this discussion with a strategical discussion with Russia in the. In 2006 or what, approximately then it started, and still from there on until the full invasion, there were some offices in the NATO headquarters that had Russian officials there.
Oh yeah, I read the news recently.
What the hell? What's going on? So this just shows you how blind was the whole Western world, and this was, of course, kudos to Putin that he persuaded in these 20 years hundreds of Western politicians that he will never use force deliberately against a democracy. He will never do this, and it's always I only use force when I'm being attacked. And this was the narrative he tried to have in the first days of the special operation in Ukraine, and of course we know what the actual truth is.
Yeah, it's the prophecy that fulfills itself. Putin's biggest fear was, one of the biggest fears is definitely the spheres of influence. He considered Finland in his sphere of influence. Finland joined NATO, something that their democratic people did not want to do for almost 50, 60 years. And now they joined. Sweden, the same thing. They couldn't be forced to join by NATO leaders, but Putin made them join. And it was his biggest fear, and he acted on that fear, and then it came through. So he doesn't see that. He's making that a reality.
Putin is a good salesman. What can you tell?
Biggest NATO salesman of the year.
Yeah. So it's kudos to him again. He's making. He made NATO bigger. He made the European Union defense procurement many times faster, and he made, and I think on a longer perspective, he will give Ukraine a chance to get into European Union. So,
and Moldova and Georgia, all of these countries.
With Georgia, it's very difficult at the moment, but that's another topic.
Yeah, I'm not going to open that up now. I mean, the referendum and everything coming up. But Kristo, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the enlightening talk. I learned so much right now. And good luck on your 1,700 kilometer bike ride. I've been in the car enjoying myself. But
thank you so much, Arthur, for inviting me. And we'll see you soon in Ukraine. Let's have a beer for Ukrainian soldiers then.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
My friends, you will see the next podcast episode on Monday. Every Monday you will see one, and we don't know who the next guest is going to be. But be back, subscribe, and Slava Ukraini.
Slava Ukraini.